Good morning. It is Sunday morning. I'm hitting the road and I'm going to have a one-on-one coaching session this morning, but it must be time for some coffee with Brianne. Got a couple of things that I wanted to chat about this morning on my drive, and one of them came to mind because I do have a workshop coming up and I want you to be there. But just on another note, just in terms of some sort of let's talk about this because it's new and it's different and maybe it hasn't occurred to some people before, and that is this idea that you win a pageant in interview. What if that wasn't true anymore? What if you are the top interview scorer but you're not the winner? Have you seen that happen? We saw that happen this year at the Miss Washington pageant. Our top interview was not our new Miss Washington, and that's perfectly fine. But as we think about scoring for the Miss America system, especially, which is primarily the system that I work in, the judges for final night now at the Miss America competition don't ever see the young woman interview. And they didn't carry over scores this year. They didn't carry over a composite. So it was a clean slate for the women who were called out into the top 10. So how do we feel about that? Right? I mean, for so long, it's been like you have to have a killer interview in order to win at the next level. And maybe now that's not true in the same way that it once was because of the way we score. And scoring has changed over the years. And so then what is the result of that? Well, first of all, it doesn't mean that you don't need excellent communication skills to be a title holder, because you do. We all know that. You need excellent communication skills to be a title holder. But more than that, there is this element of presence, right? And that's sort of this nebulous thing that everybody talks about, like, oh, she has that presence or that it quality, or there's just something about her that sets her apart from everybody else. You can't take your eyes off of her when she's on stage. Well, you still need that kind of presence when you walk inside of the interview room as well. So how do we get it? Right? And so that's something that we're going to be talking about in the workshop that I have coming up on September 30th. If you'd like to jump in, message me and I'll get you a link. But how do we achieve presence? Well, presence is really the culmination of all of your communication skills, most especially your ability to communicate non-verbally. And so what is it that you have to say inside the interview room verbally? That's important. You must be well read. You must be well spoken. You must be articulate. But your presence must demonstrate that you have the bearing and the confidence and the commanding presence that would cause the judges to go, oh, now she's ready for the job. This one, she's ready for the job. That's how they make their selection, not because you prepped and prepped and prepped and prepped for every single question that they could ever possibly ask you. I remember when I competed at Miss America, that was the first and only year that they instituted the Miss America quiz. And rather than doing top 5 questions, they brought the top 5 out on the telecast, and the women were required to stand behind podiums, and in a very Jeopardy-esque manner, they were given multiple guess questions, and each young woman's answer was put up on the screen. So if you got it wrong, everybody knew, right? Oh my goodness, how stressful. So as contestants getting ready to go to Miss America, of course, they just said that the questions were going to be related to pop culture, politics. They would be potentially about America. And so it was really stressful to not know how to prepare. So we're cramming. We're learning the ins and outs of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. We're making sure that we know dates and information about our nation's founding and when important events happened in our country. we had no idea what they might be asking us. And, the same is true for any pageant interview. You have no idea what they might ask you. But we do know that most of the questions will come from three places, right? They're going to come from general interest, what's going on in the world around you. Well, you can answer any question that's general interest. Why? Because they just want to know what you think about what's going on in the world around you. So you can certainly speak to that, right? That's not hard. There's no cramming required for that. It is important that we work on how well we are communicating, where we stand on issues, why we believe what we believe, why we think what we think, and we are able to then say that in a conversant and articulate manner that's got some quality thought organization. So we obviously have spent a little bit of time preparing to be able to speak to the issues that are going on in the world around us. But again, within your own vernacular, within your own experience, within your own knowledge and understanding of what's going on in the world around you, you should be able to talk about those things. So that's one area where questions come from. The second area where your questions are going to come from inside the interview room is going to be from your paperwork, right? So first, from your CSI essay, your service initiative essay that you've written. And so we want that to be well written. And again, another form of communication. This is why our communication skills are so important for competition. And I'll tell you, if you can write a good CSI essay, you can answer any onstage question related to your service initiative if you've written a strong essay. And we work on that. That's one of the things I teach. Now, the third thing that they're going to get questions from for you is obviously your fact sheet, right? So, and that's why we call it a fact sheet. It's not a fiction sheet. You know all the information that's on there because it's about you. So, honestly, interview shouldn't be anything that's terrifying or scary, right? We already know that this is something that you're going to be able to walk into and just share naturally about yourself. Unless our presence gets all bottled up because we turn inward and closed. And there are many, many, many reasons that might happen for a contestant, but inside the interview room, we have to be able to see ourselves capable of stepping into the job. We have to have a business plan and know what we'll do with the job once we're given the responsibility and the honor of doing the work of Miss Title Holder for that year. And so really, what I just wanted to look at today was if you have those skills in place and you're capable of a stellar interview because you're well-spoken, because you're articulate, because you know where you stand on issues and you're able to communicate that with confidence and with ease, obviously we know that you're going to score well in an interview. But the judges are going to be drawn to the young woman who they are most comfortable with, not just an interview, but now we have the other phases of competition on stage where they're also seeing you and making an assessment of, does she look comfortable so then I can be comfortable? Does she look like she's ready to go to the next level? Does she present herself in such a manner that I feel confident as a judge that she could handle the responsibility of going out in the community? Could we trust her at an event? Am I sure that she's the right one for the job? If we give her this opportunity and we name her as the title holder, do we know what she's going to do with the job? Is she able to demonstrate that as she gives her, as she speaks on stage during her onstage question about what she'll do with her service initiative for the year? So these are all things that we want to consider as we look at, is top interview really the way you win a pageant? And I would say it's not. It's not anymore. Not in the way that it used to be. That used to be so heavily weighted. And now as the scorings change and as the national competition brings in different judging panels who maybe never saw the young woman interview, her ability to showcase herself with this commanding presence through all phases of competition is what will set her apart. Obviously, she's well-spoken, but the presence is the culmination of that nonverbal communication. And so we need to employ all of our skills in being able to communicate who we are, what we're all about and how we'll do the job without saying a word. And that is presence. That's how we communicate when we aren't using any words. So I just wanted to bring that up this morning because that was something that has been on my mind, because that's a real shift in thinking and maybe even in our focus, because presence then also has to do with our mindset, because you can't register on your face something that your brain isn't thinking, right? So if your subconscious mind thinks, I don't know if I can do this, it's going to register in your body language when you step on stage, or when you're not comfortable in your gown, or when you hate the fitness phase of competition. Those things are going to register. If you're not comfortable, it registers on your face. It alters your presence. You're communicating non-verbally through your body language. The judges aren't going to miss that. The audience isn't going to miss that. And so what we have to do in our mindset is we have to be so prepared. And again, this is why we do coaching. This is why we do pageant preparation. We don't just show up, half gown, will travel. We actually prepare in advance for our mindset to be in the right place so that we can communicate our readiness for the job non-verbally through our body language and through that commanding presence. So if you are not already signed up for my workshop that's coming up in September, get registered, because these are the things exactly that we're going to be talking about, and I have tips and tools that can help you be even better at not only interview, but also that nonverbal communication, that presence that's so important, and how we alter the mindset before we walk into competition week. We're preparing now before we get to competition so that we're ready, and everything about how our body is being carried, the way our chin is tilted, the light in our eyes, the genuine smile on our face, the natural spontaneity that comes from a woman who's so confident that she's not rehearsed, right? She's ready, not rehearsed. There's a big difference there. That's why I never encourage contestants to memorize. We do not memorize. We know what we want to say, and we have excellent extemporaneous speaking skills. We don't need note cards and we don't need memorization, because we're excellent communicators, right? And again, that's just a different level of preparation for a woman who is getting ready to compete in pageant competition. So many women rely on memorization. So many women rely on note cards and prepping, cramming, trying to figure out what they might be asked and trying to memorize information, when truly the judges find it so refreshing when there's that natural spontaneity, because the young woman is so confident, so ready, so willing to just be completely vulnerable in her presentation. It's not a test. It's not a test. They're not interested in how much you know. They are interested in who you are, far more interested in who you are and what you're all about than they are about how well you crammed facts before you stepped inside the interview room. And so we want that kind of ease to be able to create that synergy with the judges that they just find completely magnetic. They'll be absorbed completely by you. So anyway, let's get together at the end of this month and do a workshop, 3 nights, right? We're going to get together at 8:30 p.m. So from 8:30 to 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m., we're going to do an hour for over 3 evenings. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night. We're going to record it. It's going to be on Zoom. So if you miss a night or you can't be there for a night, I'll send you a copy of the recording. And then when we're all done, I'll send you a copy of the recording so that you can go back and reference what it is that we've talked about. So we're going to do tips for interview, tips for overall communication, right? So that includes paperwork. We're going to look at presence and how we elevate our presence inside of pageant and outside of pageant, right? Because really pageant skills are life skills. And then we're also going to look at mindset and how do we train our brain, how do we train our mindset to be ready for competition, and not just ready for competition, but how do we turn the image of Miss Title Holder into the image of us instead of trying to be an ideal, right? We are the ideal. We turn the ideal into us. And so it's not like this thing that we're like, oh, I wish I could, I've always dreamed of. No, instead I am being and ever in the process of becoming. I am Miss America, just ask me, right? I did all the work to prepare. I could have done the job just as well as the woman that was selected Miss America that year. When you get to that level of competition and you've done the preparation, you've done the work, there are so many women who are ready to step under the responsibility of that crown. And I want you to be one of those women as we turn the image of Miss Title Holder into the image of you. You're not a copycat. No, instead you are uniquely yourself. And then we're going to elevate everything about you that's special and unique and different in how you want to do life and do the job of Miss Title Holder, and how you want to carry the responsibility and the legacy that you want to leave after your year of service for the organization, how to be carried forward, the fingerprints of, oh, I remember her year. Oh, she was a great title holder, right? Wonderful in her service to the organization. Look at the legacy she left for. Those are the kinds of things that we want